Welcome to the deep dive.
The
Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of service management.
Oh, yeah.
You might be thinking spreadsheets and queues,
Right.
but trust me, it's way more fascinating than it sounds.
Absolutely.
And it could even be a real lifesaver at work.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be talking about ticket priority and types.
Okay.
So-
That was good.
Let's get started. We've got this great information guide all about it.
Yeah.
And one of the first things that really jumps out at me is just how important it is to get that prioritization right.
Oh, it's crucial. And what's really interesting is that it's not just about efficiency,
Right.
although obviously that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
When ticket prioritization is done poorly, it can really have some serious knock-on effects.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
For the entire company.
Yeah.
We're talking wasted resources, missed deadlines,
Um,
frustrated customers.
yeah.
And this guide even says that getting ticket priority wrong
Wow.
can even impact someone's job security.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So where do we even start with all this?
Well, this guide lays out a system of priority levels
Okay.
from P1 to P5,
Okay.
with P1 being the most critical.
Yep.
So imagine
Oh, yeah.
your entire company's email system crashes.
Oh, wow.
That's a P1 situation.
Yeah.
It's all hands on deck
Right.
because it affects everyone and everything.
Yeah. Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So then a P2
Yeah.
would be a step down from that.
Right, exactly. A P2 might be something like a major application outage.
Okay.
So it doesn't affect everyone in the company,
Right.
but it still needs a pretty rapid response,
Mm.
ideally within a few hours.
Okay, cool. So P3 then, I guess.
Yeah, P3 is still important, but maybe not quite as urgent. Think of like
Okay.
an application error that only affects a handful of users.
Okay.
And there are workarounds in place.
Right.
It needs to be resolved,
Yeah.
but maybe within a few days.
Gotcha.
It's not going to bring the whole company to a standstill.
Right. So P4 then,
Yeah.
that's where things start to chill out a little bit.
Yeah, P4 is definitely more like the minor annoyances
Right.
that don't actually stop anyone from working.
Got it.
Like maybe a cosmetic issue on a website
Uh-huh.
or a small formatting error in a report.
Yeah.
These can usually wait a week or so to be fixed
Okay.
without causing any major disruptions.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we have P5,
P5, the bottom of the ladder.
the bottom of the barrel.
Exactly. P5 is for low urgency tasks.
Okay.
Things like long-term projects or like planning for future upgrades.
Gotcha.
Things that could take weeks or even months to resolve.
Right.
Important stuff, but not going to keep anyone up at night.
So we've got our 5 priority levels down,
Yeah.
but the guide also talks about different ticket types,
Right.
which seems like a whole other layer to this.
It is. It is.
So what's the deal with those?
Well, the guide breaks down the ticket types into 5 main categories.
Okay.
Incident problem, change request, feature request, and service request.
Okay.
And understanding these can really help you communicate effectively and get the right kind of help.
Okay.
So let's start with incident.
Okay.
An incident is basically an unexpected disruption in normal service.
I see.
Think of a sudden application crash or a network outage.
Uh-huh.
These demand really swift action to get everything back up and running.
So it's like a 911 call for your company's tech.
Exactly. And the guide points out that incident priority
Yeah.
is determined by how severe the impact is and how many users are affected.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. The more widespread the disruption, the higher the priority.
Right.
Oh.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But what about a problem ticket?
Oh.
Is that just like a really, really bad incident?
Not quite. A problem is a little different. It refers to the underlying cause of one or more incidents.
Oh,
And so while an incident is about fixing the immediate disruption,
Right.
a problem ticket focuses on identifying and eliminating the root cause so it doesn't happen again.
Okay.
So it's more about prevention than just reaction.
So let's say a bunch of users are reporting problems accessing a specific file. That's the incident.
Right.
But the underlying problem might be a server malfunction
Exactly.
or a network issue that's causing all those access problems.
You got it. And that brings us to the next ticket type,
Okay.
the change request.
Okay.
This is all about making modifications to an existing system or infrastructure.
So fixing that server malfunction we just talked about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That would probably require a change request.
And these changes have to be handled carefully.
Right, absolutely. The guide really stresses that changes need to be planned out,
Yeah.
tested thoroughly, and communicated clearly to everyone involved.
I can see why you don't want to fix one problem and create 3 more in the process.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered incident problem and change request. What about feature requests?
The feature requests. Okay, so those are definitely about asking for new functionality or enhancements to existing features.
Huh.
And while they might not be as urgent as an incident,
Right.
they can be really important for product improvement and innovation. Okay.
You know, it's how companies stay ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
keep their users happy.
It's like saying, hey, this software is great, but wouldn't it be even better if it could also do this?
Exactly. And that brings us to our last ticket type,
Hi.
the service request.
Got it.
These are more routine requests for assistance or information.
Okay.
Things like password resets, software installations, or just general questions about how to use something.
Gotcha.
They're essential for day-to-day user support,
Right?
but they're typically not as time-sensitive
Okay.
as some of the other types we've discussed.
Okay. So we've got our 5 ticket types: incident, problem, change request,
Right.
feature request, and service request.
That's right.
Seems pretty straightforward, right?
It does,
Hmm.
but I think there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, I bet. So in part 2, we're going to dive into why getting all of this right is so important.
Exactly.
So stay tuned.
All right, see you then.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So before we took a break, we were talking about
All the different ticket types
yeah,
and those priority levels
Yeah.
in service management.
right.
And honestly, it's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm still wrapping my head around like why it's so important to get all this stuff right. Like,
Yeah.
does it really matter
Uh-huh.
if something's a P3 or a P4,
Right.
or if it's an incident versus a problem?
It might seem like splitting hairs. But
Yeah.
trust me, it really does matter. This guide,
Yeah.
it makes a really strong case
Okay.
for why accurate prioritization and categorization
Yeah.
are about way more than just keeping things organized.
Okay.
They can actually make or break
Wow.
a company's success.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me about this.
Okay, so think about it this way.
Right.
One of the biggest risks of like miscategorizing
Yeah.
or misprioritizing a ticket
Uh-huh.
is that it messes up your resource allocation.
Okay.
Big time.
I see.
Like if a minor issue gets tagged as a P1,
All of a sudden, you're pulling resources
right.
away from something that's actually critical.
It's like calling the fire department for a burnt dinner when there's like a real fire raging down the street.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Because in a business,
Yeah.
that kind of misallocation leads to missed deadlines, projects getting delayed,
Right.
even financial losses.
Yeah.
So it's not just about efficiency. It's about making sure
Yeah.
that the most urgent and impactful issues
Right.
are the ones that are getting attention.
And I bet those SLAs,
Yeah.
service level agreements,
Exactly.
come into play here too.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
most support environments
Right.
have SLAs that dictate how quickly you need to respond to and resolve a ticket
Okay.
based on the priority level.
Makes sense.
So if a P4 issue gets mislabeled as a P2,
Uh-oh.
now you're scrambling to meet a deadline.
Yeah.
That wasn't even necessary.
Right.
And missing those SLA targets can really damage a company's reputation.
Yeah. You can even get penalties.
Wow. So it's not just about internal chaos.
Right.
It can actually affect the company's relationships
Yeah.
with its customers.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the human side of things either.
Oh, right, of course.
This guide really emphasizes how inaccurate prioritization can just erode trust
Uh-huh.
and morale
Right.
within a company.
Yeah, I could imagine that if you're constantly submitting tickets
Yeah.
and they're getting lost or downgraded
Exactly.
because they're not categorized properly,
Right.
you're going to start to feel like your issues don't even matter.
Exactly. And on the flip side, for those support teams
Yeah.
that are dealing with a backlog of miscategorized tickets,
Uh-huh.
that can lead to burnout and frustration.
Oh,
It
yeah.
can feel like they're constantly putting out fires
Right.
instead of, dealing with the root causes.
It's like this vicious cycle
Yeah.
where inaccurate prioritization just creates stress and inefficiency for everyone.
That's a great way to put it. And the guide brings up a really interesting point
Okay, what's that?
about how this all ties into personal accountability.
Personal accountability.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow that one.
Okay, so when you take the time
Yeah.
to accurately categorize and prioritize a ticket,
Right.
you're essentially taking ownership of it.
Okay.
You're showing that you understand the issue,
Right.
its impact,
Huh.
how urgently it needs to be addressed.
So it's not just following the rules.
Right.
It's like using your judgment
Yeah,
to make informed decisions.
exactly. And mastering this skill isn't just about avoiding problems.
Uh-huh.
It's about showing how competent and reliable you are.
Okay.
It's in the company.
So you're basically speaking the language
Yeah,
of service management
exactly.
fluently.
Fluently.
So you're not just reacting to problems, you're managing them proactively.
Yes. Making sure the right resources are going to the right issues at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the guide also says that this all ties back
Yes.
to the company's larger strategy,
It does.
which I thought was really interesting
Yeah.
because it's like recognizing
Uh-huh.
that every ticket, no matter how small,
Right.
represents a user's need
that.
or a challenge that impacts the whole organization.
It all ties in.
It's like the butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
One small action can have this huge ripple effect.
Yeah. So mismanaged tickets can disrupt operations,
Uh-huh.
erode trust,
Yeah.
and ultimately prevent a company from achieving its goals.
Right. But when we get it right,
Yeah.
when we prioritize accurately,
Uh-huh.
we create this positive feedback loop.
Exactly. We empower users, streamline workflows, and foster a culture of responsiveness and accountability.
Sounds like service management
Yeah.
is way more strategic
It is.
and impactful than people realize.
100%.
Right.
It's the invisible thread that connects every part of the organization
Yeah.
and keeps everything running smoothly.
So mastering ticket prioritization
Yeah.
and categorization
Yeah,
is a really valuable skill.
absolutely. It's not just about checking boxes
Right.
and meeting deadlines.
It's about understanding how your actions contribute to the bigger picture.
okay. Yeah.
So the next time we see a ticket,
Yeah.
we should really think about its priority,
Uh-huh.
its type,
Yes,
and how it fits into the bigger picture
absolutely.
of what the company is trying to achieve.
100%.
It might seem like a small thing,
Right.
but it can have a huge impact.
Exactly. And with that, I think we're ready to move on to our final thoughts in part 3.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the world of service management,
Yeah.
and I have to say, it's been pretty eye-opening.
It is.
Who knew there was so much to think about
Right.
when it comes to something as simple as a ticket?
It's more than meets the eye, for sure.
But as we've been discussing,
Yeah.
getting those ticket priorities and categories right is so important
Absolutely.
for a company to be successful.
It makes a big difference.
I mean, we've talked about everything from those P1 emergencies
Yeah.
to those,
Mm.
everyday service requests.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything else that really stood out to you from the guide?
You know what I found really interesting was the emphasis on shifting our perspective.
Okay.
Instead of looking at assigning priorities as just a task,
Yeah.
it's like a core part of delivering great service.
I say.
It's recognizing that each ticket
Uh-huh.
represents a user's need
Right.
or a challenge that impacts the organization in some way.
So it's not just about checking boxes
No.
and meeting those SLAs.
Exactly.
It's about understanding that each interaction
Yeah,
has that ripple effect
absolutely.
that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it all connects.
It's about treating every ticket with care,
Yeah,
making sure it gets to the right people
Right.
with the right level of urgency.
absolutely. When we do that, we create a positive cycle,
Right.
you know?
We empower users.
Yeah.
We make those workflows smoother. We create a culture where people are responsive and accountable.
That's a great way to put it.
It's almost like strengthening the fabric of the whole organization.
That's a great analogy.
And I think that's what makes service management so important.
Yeah,
It's this invisible thread that connects everything
it really is.
and makes sure that things run smoothly and efficiently.
And with a focus on delivering value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So next time we see a ticket,
Yeah.
whether we're submitting it or managing it,
Uh-huh.
let's really think about the priority,
Yeah,
how it fits into the bigger picture
absolutely.
of what the company's trying to achieve.
It might seem like a small detail, but it can have a big impact
Exactly.
on the success of our teams and the whole organization.
Well, that was a fascinating deep dive
It was.
into the world of service
Yeah,
management.
it really was.
Thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Until next time, happy diving, everyone.